G'day, welcome to the Side by Side podcast, talking all things the Collingwood Football Club. I'm a North supporter here on this new podcast, and we've got the two of the biggest Pies supporters, Big Danny Boy and Archie. How are you, boys?
G'day, Butsy. Good to be here, mate. I've been supporting Pies as long as I can remember. It's been a tough old year, mate, to be honest. But I'm looking forward to getting into some footy discussion, and it should be good. G'day, Danny.
Yeah, thanks for having us, boys. I'm keen to talk everything about Pies. I've been a big, extensive fan. Like the last 5 years, I've been attending most games that I possibly can, being not a local boy in Melbourne, but being able to travel from Geelong or either from where we're from elsewhere. Just going to enjoy talking about the Pies and what we reckon we're going to be like this year.
So, hoping for a weekly 30-minute podcast, just short and sharp, just really delving into the game plans, the results from the weekend, injuries, VFL development, playing styles, etc. Really just delving into the club, really analysing it, and really hoping you could see our perspective, I suppose, on how they've gone throughout the year. And the biggest issue, obviously, coming to the start of this year is the change in guard, with big list changes, unreal list changes, really. Ranked 18th from the trade period, boys, by a lot of pundits. What are you thinking? What do you think about the off season?
Look, in honest opinion, I think it didn't go to plan. If it did, then it was a shocking plan by the staff there. But I think Stevenson, he had a year, probably a year and a half really, where he had a lot of problems. Obviously, that off the field stuff. I think he had a bit of glandular fever, if I'm right, for a little bit there. He just seemed to get very scared of the ball every time he went near it. Like the amount of times I was sitting there watching the footy, and he'd get tackled and just drop the ball, or he wouldn't even go near it. So I think, obviously, like a talented player, but you just don't know how he's going to develop. Like a lot of rookies have a great first year, and they sort of have a drop off year. But I think with Stevenson, he's got all the talent in the world, and I hope he does well. But I don't think it was the worst move moving him on. Obviously, Treloar was a big one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, with 4 or 5 years left on a contract, I think we royally stuffed that one up. I feel sorry for Ned Guy because he wasn't actually there when we back ended his contract. So I think it was just all handled the wrong way when he first signed that big deal, like a 6-year deal. I think he signed a couple of years back, but he'll be a massive loss. I think. I don't think we've really gone to the draft. Well, we had a great draft, but I don't think we picked up a midfielder like him. We've got Dacos, who I think is an absolute freak, and I think he'll develop very well this season. But yeah, for now, I think Chaw's going to be a massive loss. Dan?
Yeah, I agree with Butsy that we probably had the worst trade period. It was, as a fan, it was horrible watching. You just didn't know who was going to go. There was names getting shouted out that you just really didn't want to leave. I remember like Coxie being named. There was plenty of blokes who wanted to be named, but the Treloar one hurt because he was one of my favourite players. I mean, the dash that bloke had going inside forward 50 as well. He would just rack up the ball. I mean, they reckon he's replaceable because his ball use probably isn't as touch as it probably should be. But yeah, it's going to be a shame for him to go. And it killed me when Jaden Stevenson left because he went to the rival club of Matt in Kangaroos. So he loved to rub that one in. Oh, he's going to be a jet, just trying to get under me and make me feel bad about it. But yeah, I mean, we definitely had the worst trade period. But our draft, I reckon, what we did with those picks in the draft were really good. We managed to get some players that I think are going to be real key for us in the next few years to come. That's what I saw. What did you say about it, Butsy?
Okay, so just looking into logistics with it. So Collingwood, in the end, they traded out Treloar at Stephenson. Adu to North Melbourne, and pick 39. And coming in, they received pick 26, pick 33, and a future fourth rounder.
Tom Phillips too, but
as well.
Tom Phillips too, guys. Yeah.
And Tom Phillips. Yeah. So I reckon, looking at it, the big thing for me is there's a reason they got rid of Jaden Stevenson. I think you don't. No other club in the land would get rid of a 20, 21-year-old. Just get rid of him with years on his contract. He didn't want to leave. That's the thing you got to really think about here. They got rid of him, and I really love looking at contracts. And the big thing that Nathan Buckley come out and said was we needed to move players on because we needed salary. If you actually look in the the biggest salaries, top 100 from the Herald Sun last year, the biggest contracts, just in the top 100 alone, and this is without DeGoey and Moore signing brand new contracts. This is the top 100. So it's Grundy, Moore, Sidebottom, Howe, Taylor Adams, Treloar, DeGoey, and Pendlebury all were in the top 100, getting over $500,000 a year. I don't understand. Like, this was always going to happen. We knew that. Like, big name players, but far out. I don't know how they've got themselves into this mess. I really don't understand how they've got themselves into this mess. Does anyone want to add to that?
That's why when it first happened, people were jumping on the back of Ned Guy, but Ned Guy's been there 2 years. Like, he got there well and truly when the club was in the shit. We've been going through this for the last 5 years. Like, people were so quick to judge Ned Guy, and the poor bloke had no answer because he had no comeback because I don't think himself had any idea really what he got himself into. So I think I'm not too sure who it was before him. Do you know Dan or not?
Nah, sorry, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I'm not too sure either. But gee, he made some mistakes the last guy, I tell you, because that was an absolute mess. And it's still probably is going to be a mess, to be honest, guys, in the next couple of years, unless they find some sort of way out of it. But for now, it's looking a bit hectic, isn't it?
That's why we try to pick up so many young players in this year's draft, and that's why we're going to have a young side and reserves that can hopefully pick up in a few years and play at AFL level.
My thinking is, so they've obviously done a salary dump, which they've needed to. Now, in the NBA, the only reason you would salary dump is to acquire young players or draft picks, unless it's a really bad salary. So I just don't. This is just terrible list management, absolutely terrible list management. And the big thing that I've noticed from these contracts of what each player is getting a year, Scott Pendlebury is actually was the 16th highest paid player in 2021 before COVID, getting between 800 and 850 a year. He's an absolute gun. We all know that. But how come at every other club, someone of that age is not getting anywhere near that money? I remember Brent Harvey was playing for like $400,000, $300,000 as like a 33-year-old who was, again, still at the peak of his powers. But for Pendlebury to getting that much money, I think that's pretty ridiculous. And he's just signed a contract probably a year or two ago. What do you guys think about that?
I think Pendlebury actually signed that deal maybe 2 or 3 seasons ago. Obviously that year we made the flag, I made the grand final, which not many thought we did. But yeah, look, I agree. I don't like he's been probably the best consistent AFL footballer for the last 15 years. When you think about it, his consistency over a long period of time. But yeah, I think 800,000. If he took a 600,000, that frees up a lot of extra space we could get. I think Grundy signed a massive contract. Darcy Moore was pretty hefty. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of issues, mate. And I don't know where they go from here, but I'm sort of hoping something happens. Because the way it happened, it just blew up all of a sudden, didn't it? Like, not many people knew about it, and then Treloar got whispered, and then it sort of just took off from there, didn't it?
Oh yeah, it was a fire sale down at the Pies.
Now, just a question for you boys. How much of an impact do you think Buckley has on any of this? Like, obviously, they hire list management and whatnot. Do you think he'd be pretty angry with the situation, or do you think he's probably the main part of it as well?
I think that he's it's a bit of longevity. I think that you continue the way that you were going in a couple of years' time, sort of have to bottom out with your contracts and probably start again with Pendlebury going, Sidebottom going, your Traors, your Adamses are a fair bit older. Your young, good players are coming up. I think this is great for him because it's biding time for Buckley to continue to keep going on. And we've got to be honest, he's got a massive deal with this. Same as Hardwick at Richmond. Like, I just think everything would go through him. I think him and Eddie Maguire before this were probably the main people, because at the end of the day, you can't say it's the list manager's fault or whatever this bloke's name is, because no one gives a shit about him. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's got to go. Yeah, I definitely think it was Buckley. What do you think, Danny?
No, I totally agree. He would have to have some sort of say in the salary the players are getting paid. So, there's he'll definitely have an involvement in the decisions made on players' salaries. So,
with your point, Butsy, do you think it comes back on him because, like you said about the list movement, no one cares about them? Do you think that's why the coaches take so much heat, because they're in the spotlight every single week after week?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's their job to win finals, and they need the team to come with. Like, they've got to be able to choose the team that are coming. Like, you can't tell me at all that if he wanted Stephenson, Jaden Stevenson, he would have kept him 100%. It would have been up to him.
Yeah, well, Stevenson mentioned that Buckley called him and said, basically, you might as well look somewhere else. We're probably going to trade you. I think that was the story where Buckley had told the agent and they hadn't even contacted Stevenson, as Stevenson said, that he wasn't even aware of it till his manager told him that he was likely to be traded. So,
yeah,
poor communication by us over the trade period too.
Yeah.
And quick question for both of you: do you reckon Buckley will be coaching at the end of or the start of next year? Because we all know his contract finishes at the end of this year. You guys reckon he'll be coaching next year?
I think absolutely. I think he will. Yeah, I think it took him a while to get going. Obviously, I think 2012, I believe, took over. 8 years, a lot of years, isn't it? Really, when you think about it. But I just think he's got the group. Like, obviously, we're outsiders, but you just get the feeling, like watching interviews and watching that he has a good connection with the players. Yeah, I don't think the new president's going to make drastic changes like that as soon as he comes in. I reckon they'll sign his contract again, which I'm happy about. I don't think it's an issue there. I think he's a good coach. I think he just has to win some more finals to sort of back my point up. But yeah, what do you think, Matt?
In all honesty, I can see him still being at the Pies in 4 or 5 years. I think this is that time in the AFL at the moment where coaches are not necessarily taking the heat. It's more like, getting rid of a coach is a bigger process than it once was, sacking a coach, especially money-wise. You look at the coaches in a lot of successful coaches or organisations in the AFL, a lot of them have been there for a long time. Clarko, not going anywhere. Horse Longmire, not going anywhere. Dimmer Hardwick, not going anywhere. And we know he's a good coach. He is a good coach. And I can't believe how well he did with the team he probably had in 2018. And yeah, he just needs to have a really good year and do a transformation a bit like Richmond did. But they're thereabouts. He's put them in the finals each year. What more do you want?
And just on that, I think Chris Scott should come on. Obviously, Chris Scott took over from Thompson with a premiership ready side. I know Buckley did too, but I think the Cats had a far better 2011 team than what Collingwood did. Even Chris Scott, out in straight tests a couple of times, missed a couple of finals, just like Buckley. So I think
there you go.
I don't think you can just get rid of them because they've been there for a while. I think you got to go through a process of that sort of stuff really over a couple of years, and I think he's doing okay.
Yeah. Probably moving on now. obviously a key part of that trade period was the draft picks that come in, and it's very, very exciting. And I remember talking to Daniel during this period, and he was really wrapped, and you guys are really involved with how you guys were going with your draft picks. And so obviously you took, was it pick 17, you took Oliver Henry, and he played today, didn't he, boys? I heard some good
very
things.
well too. Yeah. No, he played very well today, which was good to see.
Do you want to give us the listeners some bit of information if they were at work and didn't get to watch the practice match? Give us a bit of information about him.
Well, he started on the half forward flank. He kicked took a nice mark on the wing in the first quarter. Kicked it forward. Then he moved back. I think I did notice him take a few marks in the back line. I think he took a few good pack marks, which is good to see. So I think that just goes to show his versatility. He's a tall fella. I think he's 186 centimeters. So
188. Yep.
Yeah, so that's not bad. That's not bad height for footy. But I think he's going to prove to be an absolute gun pickup. The commentator today from Geelong was saying that was shadow they missed there because they were 3 picks away from getting him, and I was very surprised he didn't get picked up far earlier. So that just goes to show how much they rated him because he trained with them for a couple of years, I think, didn't you, Daniel?
Oh yeah, he was training there over the COVID period near summer, I'd say. Yeah, a little while before the draft, he was training with the Cats.
Yeah, he's also the brother of Jack Henry, and the boys are from the Geelong Falcons. So obviously, a lot of Geelong Falcon players play at the Geelong Cats, and he's from St Mary's, which is the St Mary's ground is literally like 200 metres from Cardinia Park. So yeah, obviously they'd be very disappointed. But yeah, pick 17, and yeah, very much in line to make his debut in round 1.
Going off topic here, but do you think Geelong sort of wasted their 3 first round picks to get Cameron? Because you would have thought they would have had Henry in sight, wouldn't you think?
I mean, when you can get a player at the caliber of Jeremy Cameron, I would do it. If you were that close to a premiership, you're getting a proven player that's won at Coleman. I would do it just because you want players that are going to be 100% guaranteed. You know, you're not going to get your Paddy McCartans. He was pick 1. You got a sure thing in Jeremy Cameron. There was a lot of talk today that he played well, but I mean,
he didn't. He kicked 1 goal.
Yeah,
in the opening
he was
quarter.
a ghost. He was a ghost out there. I barely noticed him out there.
No, neither did I, to be honest.
Hawkins,
I think,
good, but that was about it.
In the history,
just going on to my favourite player from the draft is Reece McInnes. I cannot wait to see him play. I think he's going to be an absolute superstar. He got touted as a top 10, but because we had that academy pick, we could afford to get him with our 2 later picks. So I think he had hand surgery or finger surgery a couple weeks back, but I think when he gets back to full contested footy, I think he's going to be an absolute versatile player for us. He's a 193 centimetre midfielder. Like that's Bontempelli sort of range, isn't it? I think he's going to be a freak.
Yeah, 192, already 84 kilos.
Yeah, I can't wait for him, guys. I think he's going to be a freak.
I'm definitely more into Finlay. I like that he's so good by both feet. So that was a big problem that we've had over the last few years is kicking inside forward 50. So when you get players that are good by foot, they're going to be players that will probably play this year. So I'm looking forward to seeing Finlay play.
Well, we'll just continue on with Reef. So was he an academy pick? Was he?
Yeah. Yeah. So when we got rid of Phillips, Stevenson, Boston Volungi, I think we got picks like 48, 38 and all that. And then we bid it because I think the pick before I actually bid it on him. And then we just used our picks to get him. So I think that's a great move for us.
Yeah, okay. And he's from the Oakley Chargers as well. I watched him a little bit last year with he played with Will Phillips. Well, he would have played with Will Phillips. But a couple of years ago, 2019, in the finals, check out this midfield of the Oakley Chargers. Matty Rao, Noah Anderson, Will Phillips, and Reece McInnes. He was probably played a little bit more forward and in defence because he couldn't even get in there. He's an in and under beast, and they reckon he's just going to be an absolute gun. A little bit like your inside middle like a Kennedy or a Cripps. Yeah. Probably moving on now to Finlay McRae. I heard some really good things about him, and Daniel just mentioned his kicking. Where do you think? What do you know about him, or what do you think about him?
I mean, I touched on him a bit. I thought he was at Oakley Chargers too myself, because I remember he was in the premiership team with Matt Rao. Yeah, I've watched a fair bit of those highlights, and you could see, because he would have been, he was a bit younger, so it was bottom age, and you could just see that he looked comfortable, and I reckon he would have been probably starting inside mid if the season was to go ahead in 2020. So yeah, I'm glad we were able to get him, and then use our picks prior to move up and take our academy player, Ruth McInnes. So it was unreal. I was shouting at the TV to pick him when he was still available when we got to, 23? I believe, or something. Yeah.
So who's that for? Finley?
Yeah.
I think it was 19. 19, wasn't it?
Yeah, 19, Finlay, 23, yeah. Reef. Yeah.
It's unreal. What are you?
I think that's gonna be our main takeaway from this season. I think is those three good picks. And look, we got a couple of other, like Caleb Poulter at pick 30 and Liam McCann. I think reports coming through that they're both pretty handy. Caleb Poulter, 192 centimetre midfielder as well. So we've got plenty of height. Liam McCann's obviously a tall forward. I think he's spent a bit of time back as well. But so I think when you look at it, I think they're a very, very good draft. And even I've heard Isaac Shug, I think, is pick 32 in our rookie draft, I think. And even he's been touted as a prospect for this, not only through his career, but this season. So I think it's great that we've gone on the draft, and which in previous years, we haven't really had a successful draft, I don't think, really. So it's just good to see that we've actually had a crack for once, and might see some upside in a couple of years, hopefully.
Looking at these draftees, can we see any of them playing round one? Obviously, Henry's had a ripper, and I think he really still needs to back it up. I don't think he's absolutely at all cemented after one game, but can we see any of these draftees playing round one?
I heard Selwell talking today on the practice match, and he sort of ruled out most of them. Obviously, because we've still got a lot of experience in the senior side. So I think having a young VFL side is really going to help them develop each other, which is going to be good. I think Henry is probably our best hope. I think Reef was pre-injury to his finger, but I think Henry and then maybe McRae. But I haven't heard too much how McRae's been travelling, because obviously he didn't play today, and he played in our intra club last weekend. But I don't think he stood out as such. But I think Henry is probably our main one at the moment, Dan.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't believe that probably any of the rookies we picked up in this year's draft will probably start round one. I think it's probably more likely that someone like Will Kelly will probably start over Oliver Henry, because Buckley reported last year that if he had not broken his elbow, he probably would have played a lot more games in the back half of the year. But yeah, we've got a lot of blokes that are pretty young from drafts prior that I think the club want to have a look at. And Jay Rantow, we had Bianco play today.
Yeah, he looked handy in that last half, didn't he?
Yeah, he just needed be a little bit more cleaner by foot. There was a couple of shank kicks, but he knew where to find the footy, which was good. But yeah, that's I'm saying it's unlikely that there'll probably be a player from this year's draft that will play this year. Last year's draft that will play this year.
Which I don't think it's a bad thing either, because obviously we're going to have a very young VFL side. So the more games they play in their VFL together, the more depth they'll get, the more experience they'll get with each other, which I think is great for future years.
Yeah, Bucks seems to like Rusco too, so he'd be someone that would push a lot of those blokes out too. There's been a lot of talks about McCreary, I think that's his name. He's a pressure forward, and that's something we've been lacking, so he might have an opportunity this year. I know that he's trained well, so we might see him sometime this year as well.
Yeah, so, and just probably finishing the potty, So obviously the Pies played today, played down at Geelong, going down by 2 points, 11-8 to 11-6. Some really good signs. Both you boys watched it, like we're going to watch and analyse all our games this year. What was some of the things that outside of the Henry, but some of the things that you really took away from it?
I think our backline looks so much composed when Howe's there. Like today, he didn't look like he was struggling at all. He looked like he hadn't missed a beat. Grundy in the ruck, obviously. I think Stanley went down with a bruised rib or something in the second quarter. So Grundy just let loose a little bit and sort of took over the game. Penderbury back to his old ways, just freakish ability from the footy. Sidebottom very, very quiet. Just looked at and played like he hadn't played for a year, which he hasn't because he missed the last 5 or 6 games, didn't he, with the Pies? Jamie, best on ground was Elliott by far. He would have had 20 or 30 touches, kicked 3 goals in the midfield. I think he's going to be our breakout player if that's possible. He's at his age, but I think he was our best player today, Dean.
Yeah. Otherwise, I would say a close second, even though you probably haven't mentioned it, it would be John Noble. He had plenty
I missed him. Yeah,
he was very good by foot, well, like he normally is.
Yeah, he was.
Him and Elliot were definitely on another level than the other boys. But yeah, as you said, it was so good seeing Howell back out. I think he only just recently got back into like match simulation like last week, so it was really good to see him because losing him last year was a huge loss because he was probably, I don't know if I'm being biased, but he was, before he got injured, he was probably looking like the best back the first 4 weeks of the year. What do you reckon about that, Butts? Because you're an outside opinion.
Go again, sorry. I didn't get the last bit.
Jeremy Howe, do you reckon he was probably looking like the best back 4 weeks into last year before he got injured?
I wouldn't say the best back, but I'd say the best effective offensive backman, if that makes sense. He did. Who's the West Coast guy that does it?
Barras.
No, the other one.
Duggan.
No, the one that takes all the marks.
McGovern.
Yeah, McGovern. He played McGovern. He was doing McGovern's role better than he was late in the year, early in the year. So yeah, and probably just finishing up, boys. Injury watch. Obviously some really good news today. Got through. Couple of little knocks. To Pendlebury on his knee, which he just iced to finish the game. But no real problem there. And also there was
Jamie, I believe, went off had a bit of a rolled ankle, but he came on obviously and dominated the game, so no issues there.
And Brody Mychek left the field midway through the last quarter again with a lower leg knock, but looking fine. And the bill of health is really good. With Taylor Adams and Jordan Lagoe missing, in the practice match today with a hamstring and a rolled ankle, but not looking too serious. With Taylor Adams starting to really get to really close to full fitness, so we should see a really strong lineup in round 1.
I'm pretty worried about the Goey guy because obviously recent history he's known to get injured, isn't he, at this time of year? So I don't know how, if they're underplaying it or it really is just a simple knock. I don't really know. I haven't heard much. I hadn't know he was injured till this morning, to be honest. It's a little bit concerning, isn't it, this time of year?
I think right. We should see him in a preseason game. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him next Friday. I'm pretty sure it was light. I have seen him training recently. If
that's right, yeah. It's just this time of year when you hear Jordan his name brought up, you just think, what's happened again?
Because he had another little niggle, and then went back to training, and now he's had another little niggle. So, yeah.
Yeah, so just a mid-foot sprain. So, escaped serious injury, which was good. So you could still see him out for a little bit, hopefully not too long. But the great thing is, I think he had a really, really good start to the preseason. So he's got a lot of Ks in the legs, and we saw the videos of how fit he was looking. So hopefully he's woken up a bit and getting himself a lot fitter because he could definitely take the comp by storm. Hopefully.
Absolutely.
All right, awesome, boys. Thank you for the first episode of the Side by Side podcast. Have a lovely night, and looking forward to talking a bit more footy next week.
And hopefully
Enjoy.
We can talk about and review the Pracky match next week. Who do we play? Is it Tigers?
Tigers next Friday night at Marvel.
Yeah, hopefully we get to see some of the boys that we mentioned.
Awesome, boys.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a good
guys.
night. Cheers.